Hello, this is Layci.
Well, hello, Layci. This is Sarah J with 107.3 KFM.
Hi, Beth. How are you?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I am well.
I enjoy your posts. I've been following you for a while, and I just love all of the inspiration that you're hitting people with. And Layci, you get to meet my first crush.
Oh my gosh. I'm first of all humbled, sincerely astonished. Anytime someone decides to follow me or invest their time in reading what I post, it's humbling and it's like, okay, I think I'm on the right track here if I can just help one person. So glad to be part of that.
That makes me happy. Why don't we give everybody your social media so people can follow you?
You can find me on Instagram or Facebook, and it's Layci, Layci_Nelson on Insta, and then just search Layci Nelson, same spelling, on Facebook. There's like 2 or 3 of us in the whole world, so I'm pretty easy to find.
A definition of what you do. Is it for corporate structures? I just get a lot of inspiration from your posts.
I am an executive leadership coach. So what I do is work with bosses, with owners of companies, and people that are in like C-suite level management. So they're running teams of people that are leading other people typically. I work with them to sharpen their self-awareness and learn how to articulate the way they want to engage, motivate, inspire their people, and then to do the brave work of asking hard questions and figuring out how they actually are doing those things. And then we come up with a coaching plan to close that gap. So that is step 1 with everyone that I work with.
So if you are a business out there and you're growing and you want to make sure that your employees are the happiest they possibly could be, probably hiring you is a good step.
It definitely helps. I get high marks in that area from my reviews. Employees are typically a lot more content. And the fact that their boss takes the time to even ask, how can I be a better boss for you? And that goes such a long way. So understanding those dynamics and the power dynamics, and especially in like a fast growing business where maybe when it started, you did start with a group of your friends,
right,
which isn't unusual. Or in this valley, there's so many family owned businesses.
Right.
Like, how do we navigate that? How do we balance that in a way that is healthy for everybody involved and expectations are set in a way that are not disappointing people on both sides of the equation?
I was hoping, if you wouldn't mind, if you had some little tidbits for the employees or employers that you'd be willing to share. I would love to share them with our Valley.
Oh, absolutely. And I have no secrets. So
Ooh.
I am always open to sharing all of what I do and how I do it. So I'm all about personal growth and self-development. But I definitely have a few tidbits I'm confident are applicable to everyone, whether you're a business owner or not. If you define yourself as someone who is a leader, and the way I define leadership is people who see the potential, and I borrowed this from Brene Brown, so this is not my wisdom here. A leader is anyone who sees the potential in an idea and or a person and then has the courage to develop it. That's leadership. That is something that you identify with. If you're like, yeah, that's me. These are just a couple of things I encourage everyone who is leading to do, and you lead lots of capacities, right? You
Right.
can lead your family, you can lead your coworkers, you can lead in your community. So first thing that I encourage everyone to do is to really know who you are and take the time, really it's a lifelong discipline, but take the time to define 3 operating principles or core values that succinctly say, this is what I live by. This is like who I am, how I filter all of my decisions that I make. And this isn't just a 10-minute brainstorming exercise. This takes some deep reflection and thought. And I also limit it to 3 because when we go to 5, 7, well, when everything is important, nothing is important. Let's really narrow it down. And if we're going to be honest, most people, if you were to stop them in the street and say, what are your 3 core operating principles or core values for your life? Like, they could not answer that. I couldn't answer this question for myself, when I was starting out on this journey. Figure those out. And so an example, I'll just share a couple of mine to get people's brains turning. It needs to be deeper than like integrity, hard work. Those are not
surface.
Yeah, they're valuable, but they're not unique to you. Really think through, ask yourself the 5 whys. Like, if integrity is important to me, why is it important to me? And then when you have that answer better ask yourself why again and again. And so when you've gone through 5 whys for everything you've identified, you're going to have a much more authentic view of what integrity means to you, and then use that wording for your values. So for myself, an example of a couple is use money to love people versus loving money and using people.
Oh.
So that is a really big one for me. I had to do a lot of mindset work around money. I completely switched social classes from which I grew up in, and there's a whole long, entirely different interview about that. But I had to do a lot of work around money and people, and using money to love people is very important to me. I mean, I used to think if people had stairs, they were rich. Like if your house had stairs, you had made it in this life. Like another one for me is that redemption is real. Like people can change. And then another one is people are worth it. People are worth the hard work. So hopefully that just hard work of relationships and the stickiness and the messiness of when we really get real with people. So those are just some examples of like really digging. Like those are 3 filters that I use in my personal life and in my business. It does bleed over some, but in my personal life to really filter decisions and make choices. And I run things through that as the filter for like, am I going to say yes to this opportunity, or how am I going to spend my money, or, so know who you are, be able to succinctly and authentically use meaningful words to you, 3 operating principles for your life. That's one thing that I suggest. Okay. And a second thing is give yourself permission to change your mind about how you carry those things out, how you birth those principles into the world. So often we get stuck in the way that we view how we're supposed to move through this world. When we do have a sense of, well, this is who I am, it becomes more about an action than a value. And we should always be open to thinking again about how our actions are giving life to our values. Our values typically aren't going to change that much once we've done that work of really digging down and asking those hard questions. But how that's carried out, give yourself permission to change. We all should always be learning and growing. And anytime we get new information or experience new things, it should challenge us to rethink the way that we are living out who we say we want to be. And that is not only okay, it's healthy. And it creates more interesting and dynamic lives. I can tell you the ways that I understand the core values that I just went over. Like those are all 3 things that are very much core to who I am. But how I've lived those out, even in the last 2 years, has changed as I've grown as a person and changed and had different experiences and read new research and new materials and been inspired by new people I've discovered. Not only okay, we all should be continuing to invest in lifelong learning and have an open mindset and rethink things and be willing to grow.